Hey TV fans, Board now back with you. On this video I'm returning to the White Lotus, so White Lotus Season 3 Episode 7. It is called Killer Instincts. It's the penultimate episode of the season, and I would say it sets things up very well for the finale. This is a really strong, entertaining episode with plenty of meaty character things in there. And I'm going to jump about a little bit the different characters and plots because it's that kind of episode where some of the stuff at the party I will talk about in one small batch and other parts I won't. But probably a good place to start is with the Rick and Frank stuff and pick apart some of what's going on with that. And I just love this combination so much, and it's been one of the surprises of the back half of the season. You totally buy their vibe and their past, and also how they're just in different places in their lives. But Sam Rockwell just shows why he is such an entertaining character actor as Frank in this scene. So they, of course, go to Shrilita's and Jim's house. We meet Jim, played by Scott Glenn, properly for the first time. And just Rockwell's character making stuff up as he's pretending to be this big shot like movie director. It's just some of the most laugh out loud stuff of the episode. So when asked what films he's directed, I love his like blank reaction and him, as I said, just having to scramble and make stuff up. So what haven't I directed? The Enforcer, The Executioner. I think he says The Enabler, but they all begin with he. He's like, yeah, that one's a trilogy. And there's just something about his playful tone where he's making stuff up, where I wasn't quite sure if he was just messing with Rick because of Rick like getting him to go along on this caper, or if it's just that he's clueless and he's doing that classic Sam Rockwell dorky thing. Rick's awkward expression throughout makes it also. As I said, we really need a Rick and Frank spin-off. I think that would be great. When trying to blow smoke up Shrilita's ass about her acting past, she points out to Frank that all her films were in Thai. Passes this off saying he's a director, it's all visual to him. But when he's pushed further, he potentially digs himself a further hole, just claiming that he saw a film where she played a former prostitute turned lady of society. Like what he's describing is what he described to Rick a few episodes ago. Frank could have done his research, but to be fair, he was put in a bit of a tight spot. I enjoyed the moment where Rick calls him by his real name by mistake and then has to backtrack, because I think he had been going by Peter when he's in the house, and Rick naturally slips into calling him Frank, so that's a good little moment too. Jim, who has mostly stayed silent, staring bullets at Rick, agrees to go in the other room to discuss the project. Up between the two scenes is brilliant, so we get more of Frank BSing Shrilita as he watches one of her films with the line, "It's like MC Hammer meets Peter Pan shit." And that's contrasted with the slow, tense build-up of Rick bringing up his past and father to Jim. It just adds to the tension the way they cut in between these two scenes, so nicely done there. Finally, Rick comes out with it, but he can't kill Jim. Instead, he pushes him over. As the tension ratchets up again, he makes up an excuse and gets him and Frank out of there sharply onto the boat, Rick telling the security guards Jim had a tumble on the way out, I guess as partly to cause a diversion. Later on, he tells Frank he couldn't go through with it. Frank reassures him, saying he got that monkey off his back. Nice line. So, for one last night out on the town, as Frank falls off the wagon, basically, inviting Rick. They go back to his room with some hookers and some coke, but crucially, Rick just watches. Frank, it seems, has made his choice to return to his old life. Rick seems like he's made his, and this could be his road back to Chelsea. and a happy life. I guess we'll find out in the next episode, the finale. Speaking of Chelsea, it makes sense to cut to her next at Gary's party because she remains loyal to Rick. Saxton is hoping of something happening with them still, and even claims he wants her to show him how to make a spiritual connection. Because Saxton is almost like a Patrick Bateman, Wall Street style character, it's like this is him trying to sell Chelsea a product once again, or at the very least he sees it as a negotiation between the two of them. Chelsea indulges him, but crucially she never leads him on. Her main focus is Rick, which is why she's one of the more likeable characters of the series. She teaches him some meditation techniques back at her room, so again, maybe getting his hopes up a little bit there. But then she fogs him off, lending him some books on the subject before saying she's got to call Rick. So this is basically 101 on how to deal with a guy you have no intention of sleeping with, but you want to let them down lightly. So at least they're in that place now. I don't think she quite has disdain for Saxton she once did. Of Chelsea is also what makes her and Chloe's friendship so interesting. They have differences, but they also have similarities in their personalities. So both are quite laid back. They like to have fun, but are very different when it comes to their partners and their relationships. Chelsea also has a choice line to Saxton when they're still at the party, and that'll be you in 30 years, when he remarks about the old guys at the party who only have younger women because of money. Burn. At the same party, Chloe tells Saxton that Gary opened up to her about his past with Tonra. According to Chloe, the story goes they never had sex, and that Gary has a weird fetish of watching people have sex ever since watching his parents do it as a kid. Cringe. She asks if Saxton would do it with her in front of Gary to fulfill this fantasy. This was my second favourite laugh out loud scene of the episode because Chelsea's suggestive comments in support, nodding to Saxton, was so funny. Also, the sexual moans that they incorporate on the score was really entertaining as well. And once again, Saxton's masculinity is challenged and it's mocked. By the way, we never hear this from Gary, so I'm guessing Chloe might be making this up because it seems like she's made up a lot this season just to screw with Saxton in that continuing game. Saxton being weirded out and rejecting it, I think, is partly because he likes sex on his own terms and he likes to be in control. But it also shows at least there is a line for him that he won't cross. Chelsea and Chloe having all the control is fun to watch. Gutek and Moog now, because they finally go on their first date. First of all, at dinner, he shares with her he believes he won't be getting a promotion to bodyguard because he doesn't have it in him to have that killer instinct of the title. Moog adds it's good to have morals, but that sometimes you need to be ruthless and have ambition. Later they go to the boxing, which we've cut to a number of times already in the episode. Moog says she's never been, but is into it. Moog seems to enjoy the violence on display. Her approval is implying she wants Gutog to be more like this. Gutog represents the less traditional masculine man set up to fail in this world. For the first time, Moog seems to conform to a more traditional gender role, and this seems like a more traditional date. Laurie also attends the same fight despite the other girls not fancying it. She hooks up with Valentine, taking a chance, and the other guys who are also there. When Gutek sees Laurie and the guys enjoying the fight, he flashes back to the robbery, connecting them to the robbery. Not the best reveal, but it does make sense, ties up another end. Later, Laurie sleeps with Valentine. He tells her then he has an ill mother in Russia who will just die out there if he can't get back to see her. He is struggling to help her and wants Laurie to lend him the money for a visa and flight money. Laurie is sympathetic but claims she's not that rich. Once again, the plot with the three girls this week is easily the weakest of the episode. It does feel like more filler and a bit of a disappointment after some early good stuff with them. I still enjoy it well enough because the three actresses have good chemistry and they're bouncing off each other quite well, but it's definitely the weakest stuff of the season for me. Despite Victoria's praise, it seems that Lachlan and Piper did have a good time at the temple overnight, but things change a little bit when Lachlan drops the bombshell on Piper. Then he wants to do the program with her. He wants to stay there for a year, maybe even longer. He hints then he wants to make a life of it out there. And this seems almost like him getting a little bit carried away. It's that thing that sometimes you do when you're younger. Get ideas that maybe then don't quite pan out, then you haven't really thought about. At least in some ways, she has thought about this a bit longer than he's just been there one night and he's been seduced by the whole thing. Maybe because he's trying to escape his life. A bit like she had. For hesitating the scene and says she'll give him the answer in the morning, whether she'd be on board with that. So that's going to be something picked up in the next episode. We don't get that much more with Timothy in the episode. Once again, it's more him wrestling with what he's going to do. Is he going to kill his family? Is he going to kill himself? Where he imagines killing his family, doesn't go through with it, and then he can't find the gun, which of course Gutek has. Saxton interrupts him anyway. The other big thing from the party is Gary pulls her aside. He says, I know you know who I am, but he's still claiming innocence when it comes to the whole Tanya incident, because he's saying he fled and assumed a different identity because he just didn't want any misunderstandings. He didn't want things to be construed the wrong way. He says, I know that she wanted you to have the money to open up your own business, so I'm gonna give you this opportunity now. I'm gonna give you the money that she would have done, and that is 100. I think it was 100,000 to start up your own business. What's so clever about this scene and the performance from the actor John Greers is how he still manages to be quite off-putting, like quite sinister, and his words are still quite pointed, quite menacing about him, and I think that's what a good actor he is. Tanya would have wanted that as well. Tanya would have wanted me to be left in peace. So it's like, if I give you this money, then that's the end of it. Linda is shocked. She's surprised. And even though there's a side of her that probably would want to take the money, partly because it's a way to end the whole thing, she's still on edge about it. There's definitely a morality to her where she's wrestling. Is it right? This is just like blood money to shut me up. I trust him. That's probably another thought running through her head. So she talks to Zion about it. And Zion is naturally, yes, I think you should take the money. It's a great opportunity for you. Linda expresses her doubt and says, well, let's sleep on it. Because she says that to Gary, can I sleep on it? And he's very almost suggestively suggesting you better take this, but he does allow her to. At the end of the day, he's not going to kill her at the party. He's not going to do anything that extreme with that many people there. So he allows her to leave, and she's going to sleep on it. She goes away with Zion, and that's going to roll over into the finale. It's a good episode, another good episode this season. So that's my thoughts on White Lotus, episode 7 of season 3, Killer Instincts. Let me know what you think of the episode in the comments below. Like and subscribe as always. you can support me as a channel member, or you can support me for just $1 a month on patreon.com/borednow. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.